So good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us to today's webinar about the new program updates for Mercer County business during the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Lilian Mauro. I am the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey, and we provide counseling, training, and technical assistance for your small business venture. We are part of a network of 12 centers statewide and more than 1,000 centers nationwide. Our SBDC, we are serving the 12 municipalities in Mercer County, helping businesses to overcome their challenges to success. For CEOs, entrepreneurs, MBAs, government representatives, our SBDC's consultants are an incredible team with one goal in mind: help your business to thrive and succeed. We provide one-to-one counseling at no cost to existing businesses and also startups. Throughout the year, we provide also training and workshops, some of them for a low cost, some of them are free. And you will be able to take classes and meet with advisors in a wide range of topics, including how to access to capital, business plan, marketing plan, QuickBooks, implementing marketing strategies, connecting to global markets, procurement, how to grow your business online, and many more. Some of our industries include technology, manufacturing, retail, procurement, and international trade. We also have the support of our partners, which is the Small Business Administration, the State of New Jersey with Business Action Center, Mercer County Office of Economic Development and Sustain Development, and also Rutgers Business School, the College of New Jersey, who is our host, our local lenders, Regional Business Assistance Corporation, and recently this year, UCEDC joining our group of partners. This recording will be available to you, and please send us your questions through the chat box. We're going to try to get them as much as possible. With this being said, this webinar is in partnership with Mercer County Office of Economic Development. I would like to introduce to his director, Anthony Carabelli, to talk about Mercer County, and also will moderate the webinar and present the speakers. Anthony?
Thank you, Lily. Thank you for that introduction. On behalf of the County Executive, Brian Hughes, and the Board of Freeholders, I would like to thank all our presenters that are on the call this morning. They bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, and they can navigate us through some of the difficult times that some of the business communities is facing here in Mercer County. I would like to thank all the registered attendees to this call. I know that some of you are struggling at this point in time, and we know there isn't a magic wand to get you jump-started after encountering some of these challenges during the pandemic. But we are hopeful, and that this webinar will be a source for you to navigate some of those difficult programs that may be a little bit overwhelming at times, and provide a resource for you to really dive into some of the grants and loans that are available. Just to give you a little quick speech about our Economic Development Office, we field and assist all business-related questions here in Mercer County. We assist businesses directly or indirectly through our network of federal, state, and local entities. We have solid relationships with our 12 municipalities here in Mercer County. We have the ongoing partnership with the Small Business Development Center and Lily's group, who do a fantastic job. We also, we're going to dive into a little bit during one of our presentations, is the new lending partnership, the Mercer County lending program that we have, business lending program that we have with UCEDC. We're also involved with on-the-job training grants through the Mercer County One Stop Office, these are grants that are for new hirees or people that are learning a new skill. Up to 6 months, we can offset half the salary of that individual who is employed with that given business entity. We also are a registered foreign trade zone grantee. This is a federal program. This is for companies that are importing product from overseas, there's duty benefits to that program. We also offer free site selection services. So if you're looking for space within Mercer County, you're growing your business or relocating, we can identify space with you for you free of charge. And through our Mercer County clerk's office, we offer the Mercer County Trade Name Certificate Program. This is a document, a notarized document that is used to open up a business checking account. Lily, on that next slide, I have our contact information. Provides, we're a smaller operation here out of the Office of Economic Development. My business advocate is Darren Stewart. He's on the call as well today. But let us be a resource to you. Let us guide you through some of these difficult times. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. Hopefully this webinar is beneficial and helps to jumpstart and get you going in the right direction during these difficult times. Our first speaker I'd like to mention is from the U.S. Small Business Administration program. She's going to give an update. She's a lender relations specialist. She's going to give an update on some of the programs, especially the PPP that we hear so much about, and hopefully answer a lot of those questions. Erika Pearson. Erika?
Provides up to 8 weeks of payroll costs. And in order for it to be forgiven, you need to spend 75% of that loan on funds for payroll. You can use the other funds for mortgage interest, rent, or utilities. If you use more than 75% on payroll, you're good to go. If you use less than 75%, I don't have guidance yet on this exactly how they're going to reimburse that, if it's going to be a partial reimbursement or if you're going to be responsible for the entire loan. Keep in mind that these loans are at 1% for 2 years. So the money you take out needs to be paid back within 2 years. The first payment is deferred for 6 months. There's no collateral, no personal guarantees, and the program's available through June 30th. And that means you can apply through June 30th, and then you have 8 weeks from June 30th, from your closing date to apply for your reimbursement. So it's 8 weeks from the closing date, not when you receive the money, but closing date. Okay, we talked about the money being due back to qualify forgiveness. We talked about that. What counts as payroll costs, salary, wages, commissions. A lot of this is located on treasury.gov. So you want to definitely check out treasury.gov. There's a lot of, there's a facts question sheet that's asked for frequently asked questions. And this is the guidance that we're using to answer the questions in the field. So you can access that. You can take a look at it right away. They may have a lot of the answers to your questions there. There's also the interim rules are on there and many other details. As they come up, they post them there. So you must definitely want to monitor the treasury.gov. Okay, on the PPP loans, there's still money left. There's about $80 billion left. So tell your friends they can still apply for the payroll protection program. Apply through your local lender. There are some lenders that require you to have a business account with them in order to apply for the PPP loan. There's also some lenders that say, well, we're out of money. That just means that that lender is no longer find a lender who is still offering these loans. There is a tool on SBA.gov. It's a find a lender tool, and it will show you the lenders that are approved to do the PPP loans, and it does it by zip code, so around your area. Just keep calling down the list. Don't get discouraged if you find that the first couple won't take your loan. There's somebody will. You just have to find them. Okay, I wish there was a better way in order to get that information to you, but everybody's information ebbs and flows, and our list would be inaccurate at that point. So they're usually the typical questions on the PPP. On the EDIL loans, right now, they are only for agriculture, and We are working through the pipeline of the loans that had been registered for the first round of the CARES Act. Once those loans are completed, then and they will hopefully open up again for additional applications. If you have an application that's in process and you haven't heard from the SBA, just hang tight. If you have an application number that begins with a 3, you're in the system. It takes about 30 to 45 days right now. About a week ago, they were on April 2nd. So it kind of gives you an idea of where they were. You'll know that your loan is getting worked on when you get your up to $10,000 advance into your bank account. They're advancing $1,000 per employee that you claimed on your form. Those funds are forgivable. It's a forgivable advance if you don't take the loan with the SBA, or if the loan, well, actually, if the loan has been declined. If you don't take the loan with the SBA, they haven't given us guidance on that yet, so we'll take it from there. You can always pay it back if you don't need the money. Let's see, 30, 45 days. Okay, so you should be hearing from the SBA shortly. So once you get that advance, the SBA should be giving you they'll contact you via email if they need any additional information. Keep in mind that the loan amounts that they are giving are determined by the SBA disaster assistance area. Chances of you getting a chance to request higher dollars amount is probably pretty slim based on the demand for this program. So the money that they've decided that they're going to give you is pretty much the money you're going to get, for not real finesse way of saying that. Okay, if you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we'll be happy. If we can't answer them today, we will be getting them out to you via email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erika. Let's share my screen now.
Anthony, you're muted.
Can everyone hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Next up, thank you, Erika, for all that information. I know we saw a few questions that came through the chat box. We'll be addressing them later in the program. I want to now call our next presenter up to speak. He's with the New Jersey Business Action Center. I rely on him frequently for some of the small business questions, and he's always gets back to me quickly and efficiently. So I want to thank Don Newman for being on the call. He's the manager of business advocacy. Don, take it away.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. So I'm sure that all of you know what the Business Action Center is, because every time I ask it, I get nobody to respond. So I'm the manager of the Small Business Advocacy Unit within the Business Action Center. We are advocates, that's all of us use that title, for businesses. I'll explain a little bit, but I do want to start off by saying the COVID information for businesses. The best resource right now is cv.business.nj.gov. That is a FAQ site with a list of articles that you can access, read about, and it has links to executive orders, to other sites, to other organizations that are there to support businesses during this crisis. So if you walk away knowing nothing about what I've said today, remember that website, because it's going to be important to you. So, you know, we have a motto that you have business questions, New Jersey BAC has the answers. And our executive director loves the slightly ironic twist on a famous quote. You know, we are from state government and we are here to help your business grow. And that's really true. So generally the Business Action Center is set up to assist businesses with any issues that they may be having. We deal often with our partners. Some of them are on the call today, so I often talk about financial opportunities for businesses, and I won't do that today because You've already heard from the SBA, and you're going to be hearing from the NJEDA in a moment, as well as the CDFI community. So I'm going to talk a little bit differently, but we can help you find those resources. We can help you get through a regulatory process. We can help you find a location. We have advocates that specialize in export promotion. So if you want to become an exporter, and I usually go through a whole spiel about that, but I won't do that for time's sake, but small businesses can become exporters. We have an advocacy team, business advocates who work on projects. You want to build a building, expand your location, or you have some serious regulatory issues with the EDA or DOT, they can help you navigate through that process. We also have a planning advocacy team that works primarily with municipalities on planning issues, especially as it relates to economic development. And the the Motion Picture and Television Commission falls under our jurisdiction. So if you're any budding television or movie producers out there, give us a call. We can help you with that. Or if you have a beautiful location that you want to put into a database so that movie producers may use it as a set, we can help you with that. So we're really a broad range of different topics that we can help you with. By the way, the Israeli Commission also falls under the Business Action Center, working with with Israel on a cooperative agreement that we have with them. So I mentioned that cv.business.nj.gov is a great place for you to find information about COVID-19 for business. But I do want to mention covid19.nj.gov. That is more of a general site that has information on a lot of different issues, including health issues. You know, what do I do if my family member tested positive? So there are some phone numbers here that are available to you for those kinds of questions. And that site also links back to the business COVID site as well. So you can always use that as a tool to get to us. By the way, both those sites have a live chat feature. So you are able to type in a question, and within a few minutes, a live individual from my office will reach back out. And also we have a couple of EDA people that are helping us out on that platform as well. But you can get answers to your questions through that site. So as I mentioned, you know, going through this site, you can get, you know, does my business have to close? What are the, you know, can my construction project continue? That changed last night. So the most up-to-date information is always available on this site. That executive order was signed, opening up non-essential construction projects again. So again, you're able to get that most up-to-date information either through the chatbot or through cvbusiness.nj.gov. And really, we try to answer any question, any business question, or any question concerning COVID-19, but we're not healthcare professionals, so we're not going to answer questions about that you really need to talk to a healthcare professional with. And we're not lawyers, so we can't give you legal advice. So there are some limits to how expansive we can give you an answer, but we will give you an answer, and we will direct you to a place where you can find the answer. All right. Because there's people here to talk about financing and the other resources, I decided I would speak a little bit more about the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which is the federal law that increases emergency paid sick leave and emergency paid family and medical leave. And New Jersey has one of the best laws in the country when it comes to paid sick leave, the most generous. I'm sure that there are people here that will not agree with me when I use the word best, but it is the most generous of those kinds of laws. And then the federal law then added to that for this event. So, you know, one of the items in that is federal withholding payroll taxes. The business is still going to be collecting those payroll taxes from their employees, but their share of that payroll tax have been deferred. So you can pay, you don't have to pay the full amount all the way out to 2022 for qualified businesses. You still have to pay the full share of Medicare. And again, you have to pay us the part that you withheld from your employees, because, the employer portion of it can be deferred. Also, you can take some tax breaks if you are going to be keeping your employees on payroll. So there's some advantages there. So there's several advantages under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act that businesses can take advantage of. And as I mentioned, the state has a very generous leave policies. myleavebenefits.nj.gov is where people can go to learn, not only the employer, but the employee can learn about some of these policies. This is prior to COVID-19. So we also, on the normal business website, business.nj.gov, we have a series of podcasts that my office did with the Department of Labor, explaining some of the responsibilities of the employer under these programs, with the Commissioner of Labor, as well as several of his staff. They're very informative. I encourage you to go and take a look at them. And the focus is making sure that your business is in compliance, not making sure that, you get enforcement. It's not an enforcement podcast. It's about making sure that you're in compliance, so that when an enforcement officer comes along, you don't get yourself into trouble. So they're worth taking a look at. The federal law for businesses with less than 500 people expands some of those child care and family resources for your employees. So the employer should be familiar with that. And this website gives a great explanation on what your obligations are going to be. They are confusing. So again, we have a couple of websites on this slide by the way, I'm going to share this deck with Lilian so that you can provide it for anyone that wishes to have it. But anyway, these are good slides in order to learn about what your obligations are under these programs. For the unemployment, it's been a rough road for people applying for unemployment. We understand that. The reason for that, of course, is the vast numbers of people making applications. So your employees that are not still on the payroll because you have PPP or some other process can be applying for unemployment. However, what I really want to mention is the PUA program, which is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which allows people that are traditionally not eligible for unemployment, like gig workers, independent contractors, business owners. They can apply for unemployment. They will receive a notice that their benefit is zero because they are not typically eligible for unemployment. But then they can move into the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which does offer them some benefits under the federal Family Cares Act. So I do encourage business owners that are not open, that are not receiving any revenue, that they may want to consider unemployment as an option. myunemploymentbenefits.nj.gov is the place to go. Everyone, including those gig workers, are entitled to the additional $600 benefit that will be paid automatically. And then you're entitled to at least the minimum unemployment benefits, but it is based on your wages. So once they are able to look at your income, your tax returns, even though you may receive the minimum payment up front, they will then retroactively give you payments all the way back to your point of eligibility. That will be the full amount that you're eligible for unemployment based on your wages. So even business owners are going to be eligible for that. My unemployment benefits I mentioned before that we have a live chat. They have now instituted over the last few days a chat bot. A little different, may look the same, but when you ask a question in that, you're really being answered by AI, by artificial intelligence. So you're not talking to an individual. There will be a new hotline coming up soon. It hasn't been launched yet, so I'm not giving out any phone numbers, but they are actively trying to improve their customer service on a regular basis. But like I say, it is taking some time because of the vast number of applications that they've received over the last few months. So just be patient in dealing with that. I do want to mention the Small Business Development Centers. Lilian mentioned before that we are a financial supporter of that organization. So here are the list of all of the development centers, and I encourage people to use their services. I happen to be the contract administrator for that program, but more importantly, I understand the value of how these organizations, these centers, can help a small business, not only as a startup, which is what most people think of the small business development centers as, but throughout their lifespan, and through their webinars, their seminars and workshops, but perhaps even more importantly, through that one-on-one counseling that they offer. So I do encourage you to work with the small business development centers. And I thank them for including me in these webinars. This is the second one I've done for one of the small business development centers. And we have more planned. I do want to mention our helpline. I mentioned before that if you forget everything I say, remember that website. My usual pitch when I speak is forget everything I say and remember this phone number, 1-800-JERSEY-7. That is our call center. We are able to answer any of your business questions, and my staff is still working remotely, so we don't have all the bells and whistles we normally do when you call this number, but we still have this number available. We have Spanish language capabilities on this line. We also have Spanish language capability on the chat bot, the live chat as well. We also, again, I also wanted to reemphasize the number for healthcare professionals and people that have questions about health issues, and also the number for the Division of Consumer Affairs for scams and price gouging. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people take an opportunity like this and price gouge or run scams, calling people and saying, we can help you get your PPP loan, just come and give us money. And unfortunately, that's a fact of life, but there are opportunities here for you to report that when you come across that. And price gouging, the $50 8-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer that I heard about the other day. So that's really all I have to in my presentation. What I would suggest each of you do, though, is listen to the opportunities that the others people are going to be talking to you about, and if you have any questions or if you're unsure where to go, all you have to do is reach out to us, and that's what the Business Action Center is all about, is providing you with that assistance and helping you find the resources that you need. Yeah. Thank you very much. I am, as soon as I figure out how to unshare, I will unshare my screen and we'll be all set.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the information that you provided today. I noticed immediately I thought I was happy that you addressed a little bit the unemployment issue insurance issue, because that I've been finding that there's a lot of questions regarding that and a lot of concern over some of the delay and unprecedented times. And we understand that, and the issue of just seeing that pending come up on your screen all the time, there's frustration in that. And sometimes it helps, obviously, to have a voice rather than the artificial intelligence that you get back sometimes, or the automatic reply that you get back. So I appreciate you touching on that.
And I'm just gonna add one little thing.
Go ahead.
Part of because traditional unemployment really hasn't changed. As you go through this process, a lot of what you're getting is going to be sort of that automated process that traditional unemployment uses. I got a debit card from Bank of America with zero balance on it. Why did I get that? You got that because that's what happens when you apply for unemployment traditionally. So with the PUA program, things were layered on top of it. So it can get very confusing to the applicant who has never applied for unemployment before. I've never applied, so I wouldn't know what the process is. But those are the kinds of things that are really confusing. So I understand that it's very confusing. So we can try to help you as much as we can.
Thanks, Don. Thank you. Next up, we have the New Jersey Economic Development Authority financing programs update. I know at the onset of the pandemic and sort of the closures of a lot of facilities and places, we had EDA come out with some small business emergency assistance grants and loans, which were saturated with obviously businesses that were looking to gain some financing through these programs to jumpstart their business and to help them through this period. So up next, I have an individual who has extreme knowledge of these programs, the Director of Small Business Services, Cristina Fuentes. I'm going to turn it over to you, Cristina.
Great, thank you. And I'm just going to pull my screen and share that. There we go. Okay, so back in March 26th, we had an emergency board meeting to really kind of help all the small businesses that were being impacted drastically at that time. So I'm just going to highlight some of those programs and provide a quick update in regards to them. So what we did release was on April 3rd was our grant program. And I think that was the true indicator of just the amount of need that was out there across the state. We had over 34,000 applicants submit applications for this grant program. And unfortunately, because it was off of our balance sheet, we could only put up $5 million for this. So we had to find a way to kind of niche it down to be able to make sure it was targeted. So we did that based off of NAICS codes, and it was a per employee incentive where you got $1,000 per employee. We kind of learned a little bit from that because you had to file a WR-30, which means you had W-2'd employees. And what we've come to realize is there's a lot of sole proprietors and 1099s out there that kind of got missed in that. So we're hoping that if we do get some of the CARES Act federal funding, that we can potentially release an expanded and broader grant program that will kind of encompass all the NAICS codes and all the other sole props and you know, home-based businesses as well too. So we're hoping that can, you know, come about, but until we kind of get the word that we have the additional funding, we're kind of stuck with this. So we are processing those applications. So if you did submit an application, that number that you received that's after the G, that is essentially your number in line. So we will be able to process up to 5,000 with some dollars, because thankfully the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority put up their own money to fund all the Atlantic County businesses. So I know a lot of people that go on our website and they look at the report, they're like, oh, well, how come there's so many Atlantic County businesses that have received a grant? That's because they, you know, put a substantial amount into the bucket for us. So we could use that $5 million for additional businesses throughout the state. So it did help kind of spread you know, those grants throughout additional businesses, but we are still processing them at this point too. And there is an appeal process. So if you are declined, you have to go through the appeal process. So it's a little bit of a delay, and we are working through those slowly. But the ones who did receive submit an application, you received an email saying that, you know, you're essentially in queue and you'll be processed. You will be processed. But the ones who received the oversubscribed email, it's essentially meaning you're beyond that 5,000. So there wouldn't be funding for you. But again, if something does come up and it's live, you would be able to submit a new application for that program too. We also put in $10 million for a loan pool that essentially was a $100,000 loan at 0% interest rate for 10 years to really just help with working capital needs, because that's what a lot of people were saying that they needed help with. They needed short-term, but just very cheap kind of working capital. So that's what we put out there. Again, you know, it's like over 220 million of an ask. There's 3,500 applications, and we're essentially looking at the first 160 currently. There's been a handful of approvals, but with a loan application, it's a little bit more of a complex kind of application process. So we are slowly working through those as well too. Again, you would have, there is a loan status tracker that you can look on the COVID state portal, which is what Don just highlighted. It's the cv.business.nj.gov. That's essentially just a great resource for all the information. But there is a tracker on there that you could essentially set your status of your loan. Another way we look to really kind of leverage what we could do was looking to our CDFI partners, which are the community development financial institutions throughout the state. And, you know, the way we could really help kind of leverage them was by doing a kind of a guarantee on these loans where we could potentially cover the default if they defaulted in the future. And we're going to cover those 50% under this program. And so what we did was we took $10 million and essentially reserved it on our balance sheet to help the CDFIs create COVID working capital loan products to help small business owners. And under this, they had to create a specific program, which you can see to the right is essentially the parameters for the program. And I know Eric's on this, so he can highlight something that, you know, they had out there as well. But unfortunately, they released a program back in March, and, you know, within hours, that was oversubscribed as well, too. So they essentially built out a pipeline to be able to utilize our additional grant funding for the CDFIs to buy down interest rates, too. So, you know, we essentially looked to 6 partners to create these products. And if anyone's interested, I know New Jersey Community Capital's on too, and they'll talk about their Garden State Relief Fund. But it's additional kind of resources and other kind of working capital loan products that are out there for people that, you know, kind of need, what are those resources? So these are the entities we partnered up with, and they have allocations under our first loss loan program. But essentially, you know, as you'll see, RBAC and, you know, they're based out of Mercer County, so they're a good resource and very targeted to this geographic region. But you also have the partnership with UCEDC as well, too, which offers great technical assistance support, too, for anyone who's looking to start thinking about how do I change my business plan after we do reopen. And these councils are starting up this week as well, too, about restarting and reopening New Jersey. So hopefully, as these councils, you know, come about and we hear all the great input that people are going to have, we'll have a great plan to be able to start reopening the state. Another resource that we did was the SBA supports all the small business development centers, but also the women's business centers too. And so we look to some entities to help with these SBA applications that do not receive SBA support. So these are the 4 entities that we partnered up with, and we essentially give them a back-end incentive for helping process applications. And so anybody who needed support or help in filing a PPP application, or your you know, EDIL's finished, but if you needed it then, these entities were helping those people. And you didn't have to be a member. You could just essentially reach out to them. And again, on the COVID portal website, there was articles related how to contact them as well too, and you still can contact them as well. We also looked to our own loan portfolio to basically help, you know, we had people who were still Sandy loan recipients. And what we did was we automatically, if they were current on their loans, we gave them a 3-month period of no payments. So, you know, we're trying to waive fees for all our emergency products and our grants. For those of you who don't know, we're a quasi-authority. So we don't get a allocation from the governor to run any of our products. We basically sustain off of fees that we have associated to our programs. So that's how we're able to utilize our balance sheet to really help support that, because we don't get any appropriations or allocations. We do have some current programs that are traditional products. The newest one that we released back in December before COVID, which really is fairly new, is the Micro Business Loan Program. And that's the first time we've allowed startups to actually qualify for financing to EDA. And it was $1 million bucket that we essentially put statewide for someone who was looking to start up to utilize for working capital or equipment. You could borrow up to $50,000. It's a guaranteed 2% interest rate and very flexible terms. It's a 10-year loan, but you can actually ask to have your payments, you know, basically you can hold off for up to 3 years on your payments. So if you are starting up, it essentially allows you to start up. It's very patient capital. And it's very cheap in that sense too. But it's for a smaller, nichier kind of business. So you would have to have less than 10 full-time employees, making less than 1.5 million in revenue. If you do start up, you would have to go through an entrepreneurial training program or your small business development center for counseling sessions. So we want to make sure that someone's looked at your business plan and that you have 5-year financial projections that can demonstrate you could repay the loan. Is the essential reason why you have to go through that. But again, it's a traditional lending product that we have, and it's available. If people are interested, you can go on the website. Or you can also reach out. I'll put it in the chat after I'm done this, but it's small business services at NJEDA.com, where you can ask all your questions that you may have. Then basically you would be able to graduate up to a small business fund or the direct loan after you can demonstrate, you essentially have the tax returns that can support a larger payment, because as you can see, they progress up in amounts. So with a small business fund, you would essentially be in business for at least a year, making less than 3 million in revenue, but you could qualify for up to 500,000 in financing. And then with direct loan, you would look at up to either 2 million to purchase a building or 750,000 for working capital. And again, these are just the websites. Again, if you can look at the bottom, that's the website that, I know Don had highlighted, but I can't say enough about this. If you look to that left right there, that's essentially what it looks like. And there's a search bar right up there. So I know myself, I'll utilize that quite often. If you have questions about unemployment, any kind of other questions about leases and any new topics, if we do put a new program out there, it's going to be on that website as well. So it's very useful to get familiar with it as well too. And that's it. I will unshare this. There you go.
Thank you, Cristina.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Next up, we have our co-host today from the New Jersey Small Business Development Center. She took over for Lorraine Allen, who was the executive director over there for years, and she's done a great job. Didn't expect to be faced with the challenges of the pandemic at the start of everything, but she's a good friend, Lilian Mauro.
Thank you, Anthony. I'll just make sure, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
we're going to talk a little bit about some of the grants available for small businesses. The first one we have is the Local Initiative Support Corporation under the Small Business Relief Grant that is offering between $5,000 and $10,000 grants, and applications will open today. This is another round that they're opening today. And each grant, the applicants may apply for one business only. So if the business owner has multiple businesses, please complete the application based on your largest business. The priority will be given to entrepreneurs of color, women and veteran-owned businesses, and other enterprises and underserved places who don't have access to flexible, affordable capitals. All the awardees will have to certify that they are promoting the best interests of the community, and they have to also certify that they have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Non-profit organizations are not eligible. And for more information, please, you can access to the link. We're going to share to the link below. We're going to share this PowerPoint to you, so you have this link available if you are interested in applying for this grant. Also, we have the Booz Allen Foundation Innovation Fund is offering a total of $1 million in grants for to solve an urgent social issue created by the COVID-19. So if you have any new system, new product, any technology delivering systems, solving problems related to the COVID-19 crisis, you may consider to apply for this loan. The foundation for this grant, sorry. The foundation is accepting applications now through June 5th, 2020. Nonprofits can also apply for a grant of $100,000, and individuals or teams can be eligible for micro grants up to $10,000. You can also go to the link below. And remember, we're going to share this slides for you, so you can access to this. You can obtain more information for these grants. We also have Google, who is offering credits available to all the small and medium businesses with acting accounts in 2019. So they're gonna offer a credit that you can use at any time for 2020. For more information, you can go into a small business that with google.com, COVID-19, and you can obtain more information. Also, the GoFundMe organization will issue $500 matching grants to small businesses who were impacted by this current crisis. And then if they can raise $500 on GoFundMe account. We also find out that Waymark and Spectrum are offering free videos for anyone in need. This one has a value of $149. You can make videos on your own. You have one offer available to you, and it's gonna end on May 31st. So the link is below if you would like to access to this free resource available for you, for your business. We do also have some industry-specific grants. The Beauty Challenge Life is offering a $1,000 grant for beauty professionals and students who are unemployed and cannot maintain the regular income. This is not for business owners. This is just for stylish professionals and students. More information, please see in the link below. We also have the Artist Relief Foundation, who will distribute $5,000 grants to artists facing direct financial emergencies due to the COVID-19. Applications are open until May 21st. And there is also a limited number of emergency grants between $500 and $1,500 available to professional journalists based in the United States. One Fair Wage Emergency Fund is also providing cash assistance to restaurant workers, car service drivers, delivery workers, and personal service workers who are struggling by this COVID-19 crisis. More information, please see in the link below so you can apply. If you have employees, you can tell them to apply. We also have Global Giving and the Rec Back Fund is offering grants to empower women up to $5,000. Well, the requirements is you have to be a 51% majority women owned. At least you need to have one employee in addition to yourself, must be registered in the United States, and have fewer than 50 employees. And your annual revenues not exceed more than $5 million in the past 3 years. Applications will be open again on June 1st, July 6th, and August 3rd. Please see in the link below for additional information. And also, Digital Undivided is a nonprofit that supports Black and Latino women entrepreneurs and providing quick grants of $100,000 to Black women business owners. So please, you can go to digitalundivided.com, donate fund to obtain additional information. We also have some competition programs. This is not related to the COVID-19, but if you decide you may apply. We have the Entrepreneurial Dream Project for companies whose products were made available in 2019 or later. For companies who had not yet launched, must be pre-revenue or under $2.5 million gross annual revenue. Your company products or services must be available currently in commerce or planned to be within 6 months from your application. Your company and founder have an active website and social media account to demonstrate your activity. And you have to be a resident in the United States, and the company has to be based in the United States. Any questions, please, you can contact evp@supermarket.com. Also, the Minority Business Development Agency is seeking proposals to fund 3 enterprises women of colors business centers in any place of the United States or its territory. The last application must be submitted by no later than May 30th. Any additional information, please go into the link below. If you have any questions, please let us know. I know there is overwhelming. There are a lot of information to take. Let us know. The SBDC is here to help, and there is no cost to you. You can request at any time. You can call us at 908-295-5926, or you can also email us at regionaldirector@sbdcnj.com. And with that, Anthony, take it over. Handle it over to you.
Thank you, Lily. Besides the business counseling and training that they do, Lily didn't highlight that, but I thought it was much more important for her to highlight some of the opportunities as it pertains to grants that are out there. Now, obviously, these are going to be throughout the country, so there's more competition, but I thought it was important that you did that, Lily. And to be honest with you, I never heard of some of them. So I thought it was a good resource for the business community to have in front of them as a guide to some of the opportunities that exist. So thank you for your homework on that one. I appreciate it. Next up, the Economic Development Office here in Mercer County, probably in February and March, had finally received approval for a program, got their green light for a program with our next speaker's business, his company, UCEDC. He, along with Adam Farah, the director and president over at UCEDC, were reached out to us, and we went back and forth on a Mercer County lending opportunity. We approved that program through the county executive and the board of freeholders in early March, not foreseeing the pandemic on the horizon, but just as a program that we wanted to offer to the business community here in Mercer County. They've been great, they've been reliable, and they've lent some dollars to our Mercer County businesses already, and they've been very aggressive. So I want to call to speak the Executive Vice President of UCEDC, Erich Peter.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Lilian, for having us here today. As Anthony mentioned, UCEDC is a statewide nonprofit. We do have a special focus now on Mercer County to provide lending and training services, but we also service the remainder of the state as well as parts of New Jersey and Pennsylvania with our programs. I'm going to try to be brief here. I know you've already absorbed a lot of information. And to piggyback something Don Newman said, if you forget everything I say, remember our website, ucedc.com, and you can find all the information here. Here's a little snapshot of it. But we really provide 3 services: lending, training, and government procurement assistance. Many of our training and government procurement workshops that we traditionally hold are still going on. They've been moved, obviously, to a web-based. So if you go to our website, you can see a list of upcoming events, and you can get a lot of good information. We're putting together a lot of new information, too, about surviving in a post-COVID environment. And all of our upcoming workshops will be listed on our website. They're free to attend. Feel free to get as much information as you can during this time. But what I did want to jump into then is that, there we go. We are a micro lender, and we work with the SBA on a number of different products. I know you heard Erika speak before about a lot of the SBA programs. What we do is we're one of their intermediary lenders, so we have several of their programs in play and available to different businesses. We have microloan programs which go up to $50,000. We have a program called the Community Advantage 7A program, which is a loan program that goes up to about $250,000, and a portion of it, up to 85% of it, is guaranteed by the SBA. So it allows, you know, a little relief and a little extra ability to lend to businesses that might not other qualify with that guarantee in place. We also have a program called the 504 loan program. This program is for really major purchases, whether it's real estate, major pieces of equipment, and can finance projects. We work with banks in concert on this program and kind of split the loan, and it can finance projects up to about $12 million. So we really run the gamut from small dollar amounts all the way up to large construction projects. So, you know, I would encourage you to find more of the information on our regular loan programs on our website. And if you have an interest, you can certainly, it's an online application. You can get all the information you need right there. I did want to take a second to speak about our crisis relief loan program. I know Cristina mentioned before that back in March, we were able to put out a loan program that really tried to focus on the special needs of the situation we're in today. And we developed a crisis relief loan program. It goes up to about $15,000 if you're 2 years in business, $10,000 if you're at least 1 year in business. And there are some specific things. You can't have any specific charge-offs in the last 3 years. One of the things that's really attractive about this is that it is a 0% interest rate loan. Thanks to some of the incentives that Cristina mentioned before and some funding from other partners we have, we were able to drop the interest rate to 0% over a 5-year term. And another great incentive of this program too is that because this is through the SBA has guaranteed the first 6 months of payments for all loan applicants. So it's not a deferral, it's an actual, they make the payments on your behalf. So it's basically, you know, if $15,000, it's about 10% of that. So you're basically getting another $1,500 grant as part of this loan process. So it's a wonderful application. There are no fees associated with it. Now the bad news is that we are currently have the program on hold because like many of these programs that we've talked about already, we're oversubscribed. We put out a first round of this program back in March, and within, you know, a day, we were fully committed. We borrowed more money, put out a second round, and now that's fully committed too. Throughout the state, we've actually issued over $1 million in loans. And in Mercer County, as Anthony indicated before, we've actually made over, you know, $100,000 in loans. We have 8 loans closed and another 5 pending. We are looking to go to round 3 on this. It's just a question of accessing the capital. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to see. Right now, it says that we're not taking applications, but as soon as we open it up, we'll certainly let the business community know, and we'll adjust our website accordingly. So that's a really good program, but like many of these programs, you know, they're in such high demand that it currently is on hold, but we do hope to open it up soon. That's basically what I want to say. I didn't want to inundate you with a lot of information, but again, I would recommend that you go to our website, UCEDC.com, to get all the other information that you could need. So thank you.
Thank you, Erich. Next on our agenda, we have the president of the New Jersey Community Capital, who's going to give an overview of the programs and incentives there, Wayne Mayer. Wayne, are you on? Wayne?
Unmute.
Wayne needs to unmute.
Hey, Wayne, you got to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity, Anthony and Lilian, to talk about our Garden State Relief Fund, which is really designed to provide flexible and quick access to low-interest capital to small businesses and nonprofits negatively impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. I'm having a little problem. Can you see my next one, Peter? Next. I'm sorry, I have a little problem with my screen.
You have to share your screen.
I'm doing that. I don't know.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go. Just very briefly, I'd like to talk about New Jersey Community Capital. We are a 32-year-old nonprofit community development financial institution. And in our 32-year history, we've developed a number of programs and products and services designed to make financing and investments in communities and needs throughout the state of New Jersey. In our history, we invest in housing, we invest in educational facilities, we invest in economic development. And for example, in the county of Mercer, to date, I think we have over $55 million of investments that we have made to support various housing, education, economic development products in the county. It's obviously an important market and geography for us. When we created the Garden State Relief Fund, there were really a couple of things that we were really concerned about. Obviously, we know that nonprofits and small businesses have been deeply impacted by this crisis. And nonprofits, as we all know, are really the backbone of a lot of our communities, and the demand for their products and services have never been greater. Similarly, you know, they are also a big part of the workforce in New Jersey. You know, they employ, I think, roughly over 10% of the workforce in the state of New Jersey. We also know how important small businesses are. You know, they activate our main streets, they activate our commercial corridors, and they really represent roughly, you know, 50%, right, of the workforce in the state of New Jersey. So we thought it was important for us to think about how we could provide capital to them to be able to stabilize and their operations. So we created the Garden State Relief Fund, and we really did this with the support of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and Cristina, who talked about the loan loss reserve program. So we are in the process of raising $15 million to support this program. And if I could, I'd just like to talk a little bit about some of the eligibility. Right now, both businesses and nonprofits are eligible. You know, if the requirement is that you have a minimum of 3 employees, you know, up to 75 employees. We've tried to make very flexible underwriting requirements. So the minimum debt service coverage is roughly 1.0, which is, you know, below our normal underwriting standards. Our minimum credit score is 625. And, you know, we do ask for guarantees for owners with a ownership greater than 20% ownership in a particular company. Our loan amounts range from $10,000 to $75,000. The average loan so far has been roughly about $45,000. There are no application fees. It's a 36-month loan. The interest rate on this loan is 3% in Mercer County. We have other parts of the state where it's 0% due to various philanthropic funding sources. But there is no payments due for the first 6 months of this program. And then monthly payments of interest only during the next 6 months. And then the loan is amortized over the next 2-year period. You know, the goal here was really to try to, from application to funding, try to get the money out within a 14-day period. We know how important it is to provide liquidities to the nonprofits and the businesses. And to date, I think we've received roughly about 20 applications from small businesses in Mercer County, totaling about $1.2 million. And we're in the process right now. We've closed a number of those loans and underwriting the rest of them. As the demand, as we've heard from other of the participants here today, has been great. I think statewide, we've had roughly about 350 applications. So we're still trying to hold to that 14-day period from application to funding, but we ask for patience because it's, you know, it's been, the demand, as everybody's been talking about, it's been great. We still have funding available. So if there's a business or nonprofit that is looking to for capital, you know, I urge them to go on our website and we can fill out the application. The information is on the PowerPoint, and we will get this process started. I also wanted to very briefly mention we are working in partnership with the City of Trenton on a small business emergency relief program where we're administering underwriting a program that's being provided by the City of Trenton. And the businesses that are eligible are within the Trenton Urban Enterprise Zone. They have a minimum credit score of 625. Similarly, there's guarantees required for owners greater than 20% ownership. The interest rate on this loan is 0% for the first 12 months. The loan amounts are between $5,000 and $20,000. And to date, I believe we've closed, we've had 5 loans already closed. We've got another 10 or 12 applications in our pipeline. The amount of funding available is $2 million. And, it's a privilege for us to partner with the city on this particular program. So I'd like to just say thank you for allowing me a few minutes today to talk about our program. And, this cannot be done without partnerships and collaborations like we have with the EDA, like with the UCEDC and our banking partners and philanthropic partners. This type of response really takes a mega community approach. And we think it's something that hopefully can help these businesses and nonprofits impacted by the crisis. So thank you again for a few minutes today. Anthony, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Wayne. And I was excited to learn about the Trenton Small Business Emergency Relief Program, and there is some obviously opportunity with the Garden State Relief Fund. So I'm excited to learn about that and hear about that today, and I'm sure the business community is as well. Next up, who's been a business champion for our region, and in recent years saw the merger of 2 chambers of commerce. They are working hard to be a resource for the business community here at Mercer. I would like to call for a few words. President and CEO of the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber of Commerce, Peter Crowley.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that. I think Danielle's going to get our slides up. Just a quick background, the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, as Anthony mentioned, did merge last year with the Mercer Chamber. We are now the largest regional chamber in the state with over 1,500 companies and over a database over 12,000 individual contacts. So as we go through what we're going to talk about, which is not unfortunately giving you money, but it's finding ways for you to continue to be linked to other businesses and for us to support you. We are a champion for business, and that's our focus. So with that, thank you, Anthony and Lilian, for giving us the opportunity to speak. And what I'll do is, first of all, tell you what we have been doing as a chamber in the last 2 months, because I think it is important. And it started in March. On March 9th, as we put that up, we did start to work remotely. We did send our first note to members saying that there was a real issue with COVID-19 and that we wanted to start to become a chamber focused on getting information and a chamber focused on supporting the businesses. On March 20th, we started our first virtual chamber business networking group. Networking in this time of the crisis is really key, because if no one knows who you are, no one knows what you're doing, it becomes very difficult to understand how you can continue to grow. So our virtual chamber business networking group with Facebook was a way to interact with your peers and find out what's going on. On March 23rd, we actually redefined our whole homepage and included a key link to COVID-19 legislation. We did it on member news, changed the whole idea of what our member news is, from events to supporting the business community, what you all are doing out there, what you're doing as a nonprofit, what you're doing as a small business, and getting that information out. We continued with that on March 26th, that we do have a foundation. It is the Princeton Regional Chamber Foundation. It was able to donate $5,000 to the COVID-19 Relief Fund to support nonprofit organizations. And that's a key. If you are a nonprofit and you haven't applied for that COVID-19 Relief Fund, please take a look at the PACF, Princeton Area Community Foundation site. We are trying to continue to highlight that. It's one of the ways we get money to our nonprofit partners. On March 31st, we then introduced a Chamber Live on Facebook, giving our members a chance to not only hear information, but to be on visibly to tell what they're doing, to talk about what's happening, and again, a way to continue that networking opportunity to grow the business community. Going into April, on the 16th, we were very excited that we built a database. Danielle Gockenbach, who's one of our event coordinators, built a 400-person plus database, searchable by town, industry, and then Alpha. No chamber membership was required for this, so you didn't have to be a chamber member to get your business on there, but showing who's open for business and showing what restaurants are open. This has become a key launch pad for the whole region to know what's happening, and we're thrilled that a lot of towns have taken this initiative and gone back to their individual towns and re-supported this. But again, if you do want to have your business listed as being open with information, this is free to everybody across the board. On April 23rd, we started a whole webinar program for our specific business programs. The Chamber has 10 different businesses underneath it that they manage, from our real estate development, our real estate business group, our young professionals, diversity and inclusion, our women in business, just to name a few, and of course, our convention and business bureau. We also partnered with other companies to show their webinars. Again, with a database of 12,000 individuals and 1,500 companies, our goal is to get that information about what you're doing. And then on May 4th, we actually launched a fun thing called the Chamber Question of the Week. The idea was to gauge some business outlook and opinions, but it's also sort of a fun thing to go do. And if you have a question, the first question was between Taylor Ham pork roll, as an example. The next question was how you utilize individual outsourcing for businesses and gone to restaurants. So we're trying to get a feel for what's happening. There's also a survey question on our website that helps us understand the business sentiment, and as it's changing, we get that information out. And finally, on May 22nd, we'll give you a little bit of an update. We are launching the first live streaming show, Mercer Business and You. It's going to be a partnership that's regional. It's going to focus on the first initiative is on May 22nd to talk about reopening, what's going to happen, what you need to know, and things that you should be looking at to launch that program. So these are some of the things the Chamber's done. We're pivoting again next week to go back to Chamber programming. All will be virtual, all will be live streaming. And the idea is to start the networking process again so your business can get seen by other businesses and they all know what you're doing and what's going on. The second part of this conversation is, what do you do when you open up? So we've been talking to a number of law firms and put together 5 key areas that you as a business owner should be aware of when you open your business. The first one is, of course, pay attention to state and local plans. Anthony mentioned earlier, that happens when you get in webinars where you hear everything. But be aware of what's happening with your state and county. As Anthony mentioned, they're going to follow the state. There are some towns that might do things differently. Just be aware of that when you're opening up. The other area to be careful of when you're opening is to understand the timelines. Those will vary. As a company or as a business, they may, and if you're non-essential, you may be able to open earlier. If you're an essential business, you've been open, but how do you expand? So those are questions you want to ask yourself. Second, you want to make sure if you're a non-essential business, who returns first? So you're opening up, you've been closed for six weeks in some cases. You've got staff who've been either furloughed or terminated, but who do you want to bring back in? You want to match that with the amount of business you expect. You want to match that with a ramping up process. So you may not open fully at first if you're a non-essential business. You may open up in a storefront that allows people to order online and to pick things up. But that phase ramp is very important because we don't know exactly what that continued exposure to COVID-19 is going to look like. Second, have a recall plan because social distancing is not going to go away, at least in New Jersey. It may go away in Georgia, but it's not going to go away in New Jersey. And I do think there's going to be an ongoing issue that when people want to feel safe when they go into your store, safe when they go into your business, and social distancing as a concern, your employees need to know that. They need to know the rules you're working with. Third, have a communications plan. This is really key. And it's not just with the public, it's with your employees and your workers. And some of the things that are important under that communication plan are, let them know in advance of who can return and what they're going to be returning to. If you've got workers who, unlike normal companies when you've had to furlough somebody and bring them back now, they were furloughed because of a financial situation. This is a health situation. So make sure that workers know that when they come back, they'll be safe, as well as the employees, as well as the audience who are going to be coming in and utilizing your stores. You also want to make sure that you know what they have to do. Should they wear a mask? Should they wear gloves? Are you going to temperature check people coming in? You don't have to do it, but discuss it with your employees so when they get a question, they're going to be able to represent your company and know what's happening. So that's key. In addition, let the public know what you're doing. Let them know any new business hours. A lot of folks are opening with limited hours. A lot of folks are opening with new health procedures that you have to maintain. Be aware of that when you're opening, because the more you communicate with your workers, the more you communicate with the public, the better off you're going to be when you open up. Moving forward, understand that this is a different issue with employees. They're going to be a little fearful. They're going to have questions. They're not going to just run back in and say, hey, we're here. I'll look at the chamber as an example. We've all worked remotely now for 8 weeks. We're actually reorganizing our office to include social distancing, and I'm talking to the employees to get their feedback. When they get back, that's important for them to understand. Fears are going to be common, and you don't want to outright dismiss that. Sometimes we're more focused on getting the business started and getting moving. That communication with your employees is extremely important. Next, understand when you bring an employee back, some employees were furloughed, some actually were not, were terminated. You may have employees who don't want to come back, and make sure you detail that. If you reach out to an employee, because there's involvement with unemployment insurance and everything else, but if you bring someone back, think of putting a letter in place. Gee, Peter, we're welcome to have you back. And if Peter says no, have that on file. And finally, engage with those individuals, engage in a discussion. This is a real time when business owners, and you, as you know, business owners who are out there and nonprofit leaders, your staff is the most important part of the business community. They're the ones you want to keep happy, and they're the ones who are going to be dealing with your customers. So finally, determine how to handle benefit elections. This is often forgotten, but employees were terminated and or furloughed. If they were furloughed and you're bringing them back, they really don't, you can honor all of their prior elections. Talk to them about them. Maybe something's changed in their lifestyle, something's changed in their family situation where they may want to look and redesign elected benefits that they've got through you. If they were a terminated employee, you got to be even murkier, because there you're bringing them back and they may want brand new elections, or the elections may not continue under your particular program. So what we're looking at is when you reopen, be careful, communicate, and make sure your employees and your audience knows what you're doing. And on the chamber side, get visible, get involved with our member news, let us get you out to those 12,000 individuals of what's going on and how you're working with the business side. Anthony, Lilian, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Peter. Right now, I'm gonna turn it over to Lilian for some of the questions that we received.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt?
Don wants to say, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, there was an error on my slide, and I've already corrected it in the chat, but I want to mention it. The unemployment website is myunemployment.nj.gov. On the slide, it said myunemploymentbenefits.nj.gov. That's incorrect. So myunemployment.nj.gov is the correct website for unemployment. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
So you're the source of the frustration. I'm joking, Don.
All right, I've been giving it out for 3 months wrong. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. Thank you, Don. Lilian?
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, and we do have some of the questions. One of the questions says, I have an EDIL confirmation number, but I haven't heard basically nothing. How do I follow up? I guess that's questions for Erika. Erika?
Unmute, perhaps?
I'm here. Sorry about that. Okay. When I cut out, my questions went away on this chat.
Okay, let me repeat that questions. I have an EDIL confirmation number, but I have heard basically nothing. How do I follow up?
If you have an EDIL number, you can call the disaster assistance area. But you're better off to email disaster customer service at sba.gov. The only thing they're going to do on the 800 customer service number is acknowledge the fact that your application is there and they'll put a note in the file that you called, but they can't, nobody can determine status on the EIDL loans, unfortunately.
Okay. Now, the next question is, how and when do you apply for forgiveness of the PPP loan?
You will apply for the forgiveness after the 8 weeks. And they're coming out with guidance, I'm hoping by tomorrow, as to how that happens. You can check back with your bank, and they will have the guidance as soon as it comes out.
Okay. Next question, regarding to the PPP forgiveness for us on payroll, does it matter how we distribute our payroll, such as bi-weekly basis over 8 weeks? Is how and when we pay employees scrutinized?
You can pay it as you know, if you do it every 2 weeks, that's fine. Just make sure you have everything documented, what you paid and how much you paid.
Okay. As an essential business, we stay open for production and pay staff full salary all of April. We receive PPP in our account on April 30th. Is April payroll eligible as forgivable? We have all payroll documentation.
There is no look back period on the payroll protection program, so it is from the date that you close forward.
Okay. Our company just hired employees in January for employment in the spring. So we don't have historical wage data. Will be still eligible for a PPP loan?
Yes, you're still eligible. If they are seasonal employees, if you go to treasury.gov and under the borrower section or the section down, it'll tell you specifically there's a final review that came out that is for seasonal employees. So that should help because seasonal employees and companies that just started, it's pretty similar on how they calculate the income that you use.
Okay.
The employees, you know, in the payroll that you use. Sorry about that.
All right. So the EIDL loan amount isn't based on revenue, correct? It is based on zip code and the type of company, and the SBA determines the amount.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't give us the formula as to how they look at what's available in the field. So I'm unable to help you with that at this point in time. I apologize.
If I make a mistake on the, okay, I think I read that. Does any loan account for me being a sole proprietor of LLC? I have employees, but I'm not, and only take profit and at the end of the year. PPP loan did not include that.
Yes, as a sole proprietor, you are eligible to apply and receive income from the PPP loans. What they'll do is they'll take a look at your Schedule C and look at your net income to utilize that as a basis for your the amount that you're eligible for.
Okay. Next question is, if a business is getting access to their bank or any bank to apply for a PPP, is there any program they can apply for a PPP or another program without going through a bank?
The only one there was the EIDL loan, and right now that's on hold until they get through the queue of applications that they were on. So again, monitor the treasury.gov for when and if they might open that program up again. That's
Okay.
on the federal level. There's plenty of stuff on the state level, which a lot of our colleagues here explained today.
Right, and there's another also who make a mistake on the EIDL loan number. Is there any way to go back and change it?
With the EIDL, no, there's not a way. When they, you know, and you can email me that question. I'll see if I can get the answer on how to get that changed. Because at this point with EIDL, I don't have an answer to that question. You can send an email to disastercustomerservice.gov. And you can also email me. I'll see if I can try to get help for you on that.
Okay. Last question that we have, if we were approved for a PPP, can we still apply for an EIDL once it opens back up? Does this reduce the PPP?
You can apply for both loans. You just can't apply for the same reason. So for instance, the PPP is payroll. So when you apply for the EDIL, you want to do things like other expenses that you would normally have been able to pay but couldn't because of the disaster, the income disaster. So you just can't double dip on the same issues.
Right. Thank you, Erika. And we do have more questions, but we're gonna send this to the panelists and send it in a document to you. We're gonna conclude this session. Thank you all for participating. Stay tuned. We're gonna announce it in the next few days, and more webinar coming out with Mercer County Office Economic Development about how to cope with the crisis and how we prepare for the reopening. Any questions or one-to-one counseling, please contact us to 908-295-5926 or also email us at regionaldirector@sbdcnj.com. I would like to thank you all panelists to be here today. I think it was great information, and there's a lot to take. Remember, we are going to share the slides and this recording at the end, and any questions, please let us know. Let me handle it to Anthony now for the final remarks. Anthony?
Lily, I just want to thank you and our presenters and our participants that were on the call today. And as Lily mentioned, hopefully in the short future, we'll have some more specific, detailed, shorter webinars on a variety of different topics for particular industry sectors over the next several weeks. I thought it was good just to bring everyone together. Sometimes navigating through some of this convoluted grant loan program can be overwhelming at times, and I thought this was a way to really bring this all together. So I appreciate the support of SBDC on this program and all our partners today. Thank you.
Thank you all.